Transformational change, a total 180.
My friend, welcome back to another A Total 180 interview. My name is Adam C. Scott, founder of A Total 180, helping you start and develop your online business in 90 days or less. And we got another banger for you. If you're new to this private Facebook mastermind group, do me a big favor. Use the Start Here post to enjoy some of the goodies and resources that we have for you. But without further ado, I want to introduce the gentleman that I'm going to be interviewing today. Very, very inspirational talk we had prior to being able to do this interview. This gentleman is a 20-year Army service member, active duty, has an incredible business that he's going to tell you about. And he's doing some incredible things in his community. And I just can't wait to get an opportunity to share with you the power that you're about to get from this gentleman, Mr. Charles Miller, man. How's it going, brother?
I'm good, Adam. That's a great introduction. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate
it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you can, Charles, kind of tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you currently do in the Army, as well as your business.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first, thank you for having me, Adam. It's amazing to link up with you, and I'm just excited for what's going to happen after this interview. So I'm in the Army National Guard, AGR, and for those who don't know, that's the Active Guard Reserve. And currently, I'm in the DC area. I'm at the National Guard Bureau, which is essentially the federal headquarters for the National Guard. And what I actually just switched positions. I just got a new assignment 2 weeks ago. I was in charge of force management for general officers. And so like helping them with their careers, just making sure that they're assigned to the marketable positions for them. So it's like talent management, right? And I was the guy who made sure their orders were taken care of, their bios were synced up correctly. And I just been promoted into a new position as the senior non-commissioned officer for Deers and Rapids. And for those who don't know, that is essentially it's ensuring that all your benefits associated with your ID card and your medical are aligned and you're not missing anything. And
awesome.
And I mean, that's the day job. That's the Army career right there, you know?
Yeah. And what about your business? We kind of talked about that a little bit, but kind of tell people about what you do, your company that you own and have.
All right. So I have a few companies that I have that I founded. I founded the only veteran and Black owned premium denim and heritage goods company. It's called Charles Miller Brand Denim, CMBD, and it's a denim company that's just made on connecting with the consumer and building on their story, right? So pushing them to create their own story in their denim. So everything's raw. There's nothing that's washed, nothing that's distressed. Everything's American made. Everything's made in Los Angeles or Seattle. And we wanted that because it's part of our stories, right? It's part of the American story. I'm a service member, military heritage is embedded in the brand, and it's 7 years old now. It took an additional 5 years to get it off the ground the way we wanted to have it. And the second business is my branding consulting marketing company, which helps veterans, service members, and entrepreneurs better develop their personal branding as it comes to being associated with their brand and or their Army, their military career. The third business that I manage is I don't own it. You know, it's my daughter's business. I manage it for. I'm her COO. She's the CEO, and it's called Princess Treats, and it is a baked goods company. 70-year-old recipe, 6-year-old CEO. Treat yourself once a month, every month. And we just have fun with it. It's amazing. She's able to be creative with it in that space, and our family is just leveling up together. My wife's we're dual military. My wife's in the Army Reserves, active. She has her own mobile hairstylist business. that she operates in a 5 mile radius after hours and on the weekends. And so it's great. It's great.
Man, I know that right there is a blessing in itself, man, to be able to have the entrepreneurship run in the veins of you and your family. So I can already imagine what it's going to look like, within the next 5 to 10 years. But we both know it all wasn't as good as it is right now.
Oh yeah.
So kind of tell people, Charles, a little bit about, your upbringing. Were you, the only child? Did you have siblings as well? And what kind of propelled you to, want to join the Army National Guard, to kind of be able to spearhead what you want to do in life?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It's and I'm a firm believer and advocate for, learning from failures, right? Like, people are going to learn more from the stories of your failures than they are going to be from your successes. Everybody has a resume, right? Everybody can look up, hey, everybody can talk about all the great things they're doing. But when it comes to failing and failing to success, failing to progress, that's when you understand those notes and those perspectives that should be gained and that mentorship. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have dozens and dozens, maybe even hundreds of mentors in my life starting early on. And that's kind of what got me into the discipline of, hey, you do what you got to do. You can do what you want to do. That's something my father always told me since I was young. Do what you have to do. You can always do what you want to do. And in the beginning, I didn't know what that meant. And as I got older into middle school and high school, I noticed what he was talking about. So do what you have to do, making sure you do your homework, making sure you're being disciplined in sports, whatever it is that you're doing, right? And then you can do essentially what you want to do. You can apply for these jobs. You have the education to just approach any goal that you have. And my father was an entrepreneur, a retired entrepreneur, and my mother worked for the Navy as a civilian. And so I had kind of the best of both worlds growing up as these examples in front of me. And that essentially, growing up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that essentially gave me a well-rounded perspective on life from multiple angles,
That's incredible. So when you joined the, Army National Guard, was it straight out of high school? Did you go to college first and try to test the waters, or was it just straight out of high school that you went?
It was crazy. I did both, just like I'm doing now. I'm doing a whole bunch of things at once. I joined. I went to my first semester as a freshman, and then I went to basic training and advanced training, and then I went back to school after that. And then I was a reservist at that point, right, for the National Guard. But I was still doing it, still going home 1 week in a month and everything. Still trying to figure out what it is that I want to do in college. And that actually in college is when my first business was birthed. It was called Gear by Pook and Photos by Pook. Pook was my childhood nickname, and I went to college in the Poconos at East Stroudsburg for my undergrad, right? And we're about 45 minutes from New York, right? From the city, from Manhattan. And I said, you know what, these college kids, they don't have no way of getting to any malls or anything like that. And also they don't have the money to really spend on high priced clothing and things like that, right? So I took it upon myself to go to New York, load up the trunk of blank clothes, fashionable, trendy clothes, right? T-shirts, sweatshirts, sweatpants, the things that college kids wear, right? And I just came on campus and opened up the trunk and just started selling. And it was crazy. And then I just took pictures at parties, and that's how I got to know people, to let them know what my other business was on campus. And also I was working at the gym, so I was able to work out and know people and practice on my PT at the same time. So it was crazy, man.
Wow. And how old were you at that time when you first launched that business?
Oh, so that was I had to be 19 or 20.
Wow. So you started young when you really started doing some of these things.
Right. Yeah. It was early, man. Yeah, it was early.
So for people that are just kind of listening to this and watching this and replaying this, what advice would you kind of give them when they're first, going into, the military? Maybe it's the first few years in, and kind of talk about what those first few years in kind of meant for you to get you to where you are today. What was those first couple of years in for you like?
Oh, man, dude, I didn't know what I wanted to do. For the first 6 years, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just trying to survive, really, in the Army. And because I was all about, like, I got to do business. I want to do this. When I graduate from college, I didn't even have no job lined up. I didn't even want a job, when I graduated college. Not a career specific job. And for the Army, I was surviving. I was floating. First 6 years it was growth, because at one point I didn't know how to balance everything. I didn't know how to balance having fun. I didn't know how to balance just being a great student at college, and I didn't know how to balance just trying to figure out what it is I want to do with business, right? And in the Army, it was a time that I failed my PT tests. This is probably like 3 years in, right? Where I didn't have the discipline. Like, again, I didn't know how to balance everything. And my roommate at college, he helped me out so much. He got me back into the flow of wanting to compete for myself, for one, and then the military would just be a benefit of that, of my discipline and exercise. And I did it because I don't think, because I wasn't in it all the way in the Army, right? I had a shaving profile. Like, I did not want to let the streets go. I did not want to let, like, my beard go and everything. I didn't want to let that go, right? I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna be my own person, even though I'm wearing a uniform. And that was 100% the wrong perspective to have, right? Early on in the military. And it caused me to bump heads with leadership. But it was great lessons learned. And it wasn't until I reenlisted after those first 6 years that I said, okay, I have to do something like that's going to be beneficial for my future, right? I have to have some stability. And that's when everything changed for me.
So that was like that defining moment where he was like, all right, like, whatever I'm doing isn't working. And if I really want to kind of propel and move forward, I got to make a decision. It's funny that you mentioned that, because, a lot of people talk about having this indecisiveness, right? Being indecisive. But a lot of people don't realize that the word decide, the root word side, it means to kill, right? It's an insecticide. It's in pesticide. It's in homicide. So when you decide, you kill off all other alternatives.
Wow.
It's crazy. A lot of people don't have decisiveness because of I guess you could say the inability to be like, you know what, I'm going to walk through this door. This is the door I have to walk through. And in order for me to get to where I'm trying to go, I got to go through this.
Right.
And you and I can both kind of relate to this, because I was probably the same rough around the edges guy. You know what I'm saying? Hard head, just want to do it my way.
Right.
And one of the questions I was asked early on in my military career was, if you doing it your way hasn't worked out for you, why not try somebody else's way?
Right.
Which is why a lot of people start coming to Christ, is because we've tried it our way long enough to realize and see it's not working.
Dude, I've had so many smacks upside the head, from trying it my way, and like, nah, I got this. And it may be something that I was great at, but it wasn't the right way. It wasn't the way it was supposed to go, And it's, man, that decisiveness is key. I mean, I think it's so key in developing that perspective early on, like, and going after those mentors early on, right? And keeping in contact with those mentors, like, because everybody is in your life. You've heard this before, for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And when you when you get a hold of those people, it's on you. It's on you as the mentee to take action on what it is that you're learning. I mean, it's not your mentor or whoever it is that's trying to coach you through something. They've already done it. All right. Or they've already, their time is over. So they're trying to give back. And that's the way it should be. But the mentee, like I was, hard-headed. And I still am hard-headed sometimes, trying to add more onto my plate than what I need to, you know, but throughout my military career, throughout my entrepreneur career, I've learned how to not necessarily remove things from my plate, but I've learned how to better portion control what it is that's on my plate, And so being able to balance those things out with military, with family, now that I'm married and I have 2 kids and 2 dogs, like it's not just me right now. It's not just me, and I can just get an apartment. I can just dump everything into the business, into the brand, and not worry about eating or anything like that. No. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? And so I don't care that any of my businesses is not making 6 figures a year right now, right? Because I'm building the foundation for them while I'm also concluding my stability in the military before I get out. And so, like, it's a guy he's on Fort Belvoir right now, and he owns a business in the PX, and it's one of those businesses where you go to for all your military decorations and stuff like that, where they do like the plaques and all that stuff and everything, like, right. And he said to me, it was a while ago, this is back in 2015. My wife and I went in there to get something for one of our service members who's getting ready to retire. And he said, if you're going to start a business while you're in the military, or if you're going to start a business, period, you need to start while you're in the military, because you have the resources, you have the funds. If you start when you get out the military, your chances of success are going to be 10 times harder, because most people just count you out when you got the military. People who are, leaders who are in the military, like, and that's across the board with just all types of benefits, and people don't realize that.
That's such a great point that you made there, and so many of us service members, we don't understand the importance of our time and our necessities, and while we're still in, right, and then we kind of hope and chance that things are going to work out when we get out, and then when they don't work out when we get out, we try to re-enter the military, right, or maybe go reserves, like, maybe that was a bad decision. But it's all about what you do with what you have that will allow you to get that what you desire. Right. And that just comes from being a good steward. And stewardship is so important in entrepreneurship, because, doing good with the little that you have, you will be able to multiply that, and the Bible kind of talks about that. How can you be ruler over much when you can't even be a servant over few? Right.
100%, man.
So, after that 6-year mark, as we're tracking along to where you are now, right, what was those next 6 years like for you? What was those next 6 years? It was like, man, did things start coming into play for you? Did things start working out in your favor? What were those next 6 years like for you?
So yeah, it was. Excuse me. It was still rocky. It was still a grind, and I was still just dumping money into my brand at the time. I mean, because it is very, very hard to start a business, start an American-made clothing brand without the resources, without the network, and so I learned everything from trial and error. Like, and I could have done, and so this is crazy. So I'm gonna just back up just a little bit. So when I graduated from my bachelor's, all right, it was 2007. No, I'm sorry, was it 2007? Yeah, it was 2007. I graduated with my bachelor's, and I took the photography and clothing business that I started in college, and I put the name of it, the logo, I put on a T-shirt when I got back to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. What I did was I printed off on an old, it was probably 20, 30 years old heat press machine. Put the logo on it on 24 T-shirts, right? I went inside the club maybe like 15 minutes before the club was getting ready to close, and I just tossed them in the air. I just tossed all 24 T-shirts in the air. The crazy thing was, and this is what got me moving, was that every single T-shirt, when people came out that club, they were wearing that T-shirt. And they were like, whose T-shirts are these? It was crazy. It was bananas. Wow. That was my first clothing line. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And which is like, and going back to your question, it was a struggle. Like I pushed that, but I don't want to get unbalanced with my military commitments, right? And long story short, I pushed it for 2 years. It went well, but I didn't feel like I was going to grow from that. I didn't feel like I was going to evolve from that. I wanted a brand that I could evolve with that would mirror the journey and the mission that I'm on, and that I know that others are on as well. And that's when I said, all right, the T-shirts are going to retire. Maybe I'll bring them back out in 10 years. Maybe I'll find a mentee to take it over from me and push it, right? That has discipline, that has focus and driven and motivated. Maybe not, but I'm gonna put it away. And then I birthed the denim brand. Then I birthed Charles Miller brand denim, because denim is going to be a staple in people's lives for years and years to come. And that is one garment that you can grow with.
But man, we getting into some charted territory, man. We're getting into some uncharted. So that birth, the company that you started, the company today, that was the birth of that. That's an incredible story, by the way. I mean, just throwing up over there like, hey, y'all want these? Come on, come get it.
Right.
And I understand a lot of what you're talking about, because sometimes we just throw it on the wall hoping that it sticks.
Right.
And fortunately for a lot of entrepreneurs, it's that dedication and that devotion to pursue that which we desire. And we know sometimes it doesn't work out in our favor, but I mean, we go to great lengths, and you and I both can relate to this. A lot of us entrepreneurs and business owners go to great lengths to ensure that we are propelling our brand forth, because we both know nobody's going to want it for us more than we want it for ourselves.
Right. 100%.
We understand that. And, I want you to kind of tell people about what challenges that you kind of faced early on with your denim company that you overcame, that maybe somebody listening that's probably pursuing to start their own clothing company or clothing brand can kind of, avoid, because, you learned that valuable lesson that you can pass on.
Right. You know what? So two things that just came to my head right when you said that was, one was quality. Like, don't just get into a clothing brand specifically and not invest in quality. Like anybody can do drop shipping. Anybody can put up a logo on a t-shirt. Anybody can do screen printing, right? But how is that quality going to uphold? Like t-shirts come a dime a dozen, right? But what's your story with that? Like, if you don't have a story with it and you can't sell your story, no one else is going to believe in your story, right? People told me before, when I was at pop-ups with the denim brand, hey, I bought into you before I bought into your brand. It was because I bought into you and your character that I bought into the brand. So that's one thing. Another thing that I had to learn was funding. Like, right. So I'd go to the banks that I had, or the credit unions that I was already associated with. Like, hey, I go there with a suit and tie and a business pamphlet all printed out. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. The thing is, they weren't ready for that, and they weren't ready to build a relationship with me. They just saw a number, right? They said, hey, here's a credit card. Here goes a credit card processing machine that's going to run you $50 a month till you pay it off. It's $3,000 in total. Here's a $2,500 credit limit credit card. Yeah, go have a nice day. I wish you much success, right? They didn't build a relationship with me. And so what I had to learn was that I am not going to associate with these big banks because, one, is there's not a relationship built, and two, my interest is not they're not I'm not at their best interest in the products that they're trying to give me, right? And three, like a loan is not the way to go if you don't have money coming in. It's just not. I went into debt with that. I put in over 75 grand into my own company, that I didn't have. I had it, but I didn't have it. And so those were the struggles that I had to learn early on. Like, it takes a lot, like, and I can't do all of it by myself, right? Even though I want to, but if you don't have a lot of money, you are doing it by yourself. You're going to be a jack of all trades, and a master of none until you start perfecting those things and start delegating or starting to find other people who believe in you as much as you do, who are willing to support you without getting paid, essentially, until you start making money. And so definitely quality, definitely understand, have a good sense of money management. I'd go after lines of credit instead of loans, because you're able to just pay on what you've used in lines of credit. I learned that early on, very, very hard, right? After I paid off debt multiple times, right? And also ensuring that you have your brand, you have your story. You are your brand, and your brand is you. Otherwise, you might as well go get another job,
And you touched on something, your story, and a lot of us come from humble beginnings. Some of us didn't. But it's the story that gives God glory.
100%.
That's the thing. Like a lot of people can't really craft a story, like you said, that people believe in. Right. Before we get people to believe in our brand and our business, we got to be able to believe in our brand and our business and our story.
Yeah.
And I want you to kind of talk about that specifically, that story behind your brand. What allowed you to craft such an incredible story that made that gentleman say, I bought into you before I bought into your brand? What's the incredible story behind your denim brand, brother?
Yes, it's like any good advice you'd hear from like a marketing agency or branding agency. It's you have to be what you believe in. You have to walk what it is. So if you just take, I don't know, you could take a brand like Nike, for example, right? And it could be a running commercial. Like, they're not going to put someone on a commercial that doesn't run, that doesn't look like an athlete that's running, right? They're gonna put someone who's getting it, who's living this every single day, and it's essentially what it is. Like, I'm living this denim thing every single day. I'm embedded in military heritage every single day. That's my career. I'm embedded in family, and so it was an acronym we used. Oh man, for the denim brand, and it was family. It was family denim. It was family denim community, right? And it was essentially you are part of a community, and that essentially is your story, and you are living in your denim. And so these things that happen to you, these experiences that you have, these stories that you have, can always be memorable into making you who you are. So the same focus I had, I want a brand that I can evolve with, is the same focus that I charged people with who were buying into the brand. This is something that you can evolve with. Like, you want to go spend $25 at the Gap or Old Navy for some jeans that you're going to do the same thing again next year, or maybe in 6 months, because the heel is all worn out because you didn't step on it or something that doesn't fit right. All right, you can go do that, or you can invest in yourself, and you can have a piece of history in the only veteran and Black-owned denim brand in the world. And it's just crazy because yeah, man, it's you just have to work it. You have to be the brand, and that's just the bottom line.
It's crazy, and it's amazing that you speak about those things, because in order for us to achieve our goals, whether they're business goals or personal goals, we have to see past it.
Right.
And I can tell you, when I first started a Total 180, I was in my bedroom, and I knew that people had always talked about, making transformational changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember just sitting in this room, and I was probably going at this for hours. I was thinking about all these different names. And I remember I was kind of inspired to create this brand because I had made so many a total 180s in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the story behind the brand is like, well, I knew where I was, and here's where I am.
Right.
And I remember sitting down, I was jotting down a couple of names. I think I came up with the transformational 180. I came up with a complete 180. I mean, and none of them just sounded like, when you get a name of something, it just, when it comes off your tongue, you're like, hey, whoa, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably like toward the end of the night, and I was getting ready to just, go to bed. I'm like, man, I might have to revisit this in the morning.
Right.
And I typed up like my last final like name I might just throw out. And as I was typing it, I said, you know what? Let me just say, I'm gonna just go with a total 180. A total 180. A total 180.
Yes.
And I just started to believe it. I'm like, yo, this is it.
Right.
I remember running to the other room, and I remember like, Mom, I got it. Because I think they were visiting at the time. And she's like, you did? I'm like, it's a total 180. She's like, oh, you're gonna go crazy with that.
Right.
I was so ecstatic. I couldn't even go to bed.
Dude.
And
that's how it be, man.
That's how it be. You just like that last go. And I remember it was I'm telling you, I wish I could pull up the Google Doc to prove it was the last name I had like just thought about.
Right.
And it stuck. And I remember Googling, I think it was on GoDaddy, and I was trying to figure out if the website, the domain was available. I said, it sounds good. Please God, let the domain be available. I Googled total180.com. Green light. The domain is available. I said, oh, this is meant to be. This is meant to be. And it's crazy how many times that people have said that phrase. Man, right. I made a total 180. I made a complete 180.
Right.
And it just sticks. And so, from that first, those trials that you were talking about, it's incredible that you mentioned those trials, because relationships are so key.
Oh,
and in order for you to grow relationships, in order for you to grow friendships, in order for you to grow partnerships, you need mentorship.
Right.
I have a mentor for every single aspect of my life.
Yes. Agreed. Yep.
It's not just a one size fits all mentor, because certain mentors are good in their lane.
Yep.
And the greatest thing about having a coach is getting them to show you what you don't see when you're in the game.
Dude.
That's the number one reason we need to have a coach, a mentor, an advisor, because they see what we don't see while we're in the game.
Dude.
It's like, think about it. You in the boxing ring, right? You throwing a couple of hooks, a couple of jabs.
Right.
At the end of the first round, you sit down, they give you your water. They look at any cuts on your brow or on your face, and your coach comes in like, dude, why you not slipping the jab as good as you should be?
Right.
Why aren't you seeing that whenever he throws that right, his left, he keeps his guard untucked.
Right.
You need to do this, because that coach, that mentor, that advisor, he's already played the game.
Right.
He sees what you don't see, because he's been where, or she's been where you're trying to go.
Right.
And it's incredible that we talk about these things, because, having these people in our lives that, can, I guess you could say, prevent us from making the same mistake that they made. It saves us tremendous time.
Dude.
So I want you to kind of talk about a story where you had a coach or a mentor that gave you some invaluable, just so valuable advice that it saved you maybe precious time, maybe precious money. Kind of talk about how that was able to work for you when you were starting your denim company, brother.
Dude, I will give you the best example. Right. All right. This is crazy. So I was in Iraq, right? I was deployed in Iraq, and I was I was I just got done winning Soldier of the Year, right? Through boards and everything like that, right? And it's time for me to go on leave, do my 2 weeks leave, right, back into the States. And he's like, hey, do you wanna go to like this big Soldier of the Year to compete against Big Army? You know, I'm like, no, I want to go home for 2 weeks, right? I'm not doing that, right? I've been studying my butt off and all this other stuff, right? So I go home. And mind you, while I'm deployed, I'm still working on the brand, right? Because I just birthed Charles Miller Brand Denim before I left for deployment in 2011. Yes, 2012. I just birthed it, right, in 2011. And so I go home on leave and I go to LA to meet with my mentors, right? My denim mentors, right? In denim industry. I go to LA, which is the denim capital of the world. I get a crash course on denim manufacturing, denim washing, fabric sourcing, just hardware development, right? Just all these things that are associated with actually giving you the pants that you're wearing right now, right? It's a whole bunch of things that go into that, right? And then I decided, I was like, all right, class was over, right? I decided to do some shopping. I go on the Ave. I go to a Diesel store and I go to the denim bar in Los Angeles, right? It's at American Rag. It's very, very famous in the denim industry. And I try on some denim, and no kidding, both times the two gentlemen that were fitting me on denim, I tried them on and I was like, man, these are just these are too tight, right? I need a bigger size, right? And he said, dude, you do not need the bigger size. They're gonna open up. They're gonna breathe a little bit, and they're gonna end up being a perfect fit. They're gonna sculpture to your body, right? I said, nah, man, nope, I don't like it. I need a bigger size. And then I spent $500 on 2 pair of denim, right? I wore them. I got home after deployment. 6 months later, I gave them away because they did exactly what my man and them said. They did exactly. Wow. They were way too big for me, and that has become part of my story when I'm fitting people. Even online, when I'm giving them fitting recommendations, I'm showing them sizes, right? I'm saying, hey, this is what I've learned, and this is going to be great for you. And I've learned how to size them up, right? It was actually one of my friends. She ran a denim store in DC. She's the one who taught me how to size men and women up on how to fit them. And I use that same story to everything, and that has saved me and many, many people just valuable time, valuable money, like just by that.
Wow.
And I learned and then I say, if it fits tight, it fits right? Not too tight, but if you can button it, it's going to fit right. And it's going to, depending on what the fabric is, again, you got to know your fabric, you got to know your brand. It's going to breathe and it's going to become the best denim you've ever had. And wow. I've had so much success with that.
Oh man, that's an incredible story. Just invaluable lessons.
Right.
And you know, it's amazing to see that lessons are blessings. You know, so many great lessons. You know, some people's like, man, this was an L. Well, that L wasn't a loss; it was a lesson.
Right.
You know, this saved me tremendous time, tremendous money. And I remember, I'll tell you a quick story about a Total 180. So initially, a Total 180 was meant to like help, you know, people fire their boss, right? And you know that was really I didn't know what I was doing. Right. Like the first 6 months, I just was kind of misplaced with how I wanted to really grow this business. Mm-hmm. And I remember my coach Dre at the time. We had got on a Zoom call, and he was like, "So, what's your problem? Like, what's your hiccup right now?" I was like, "Dude, I can't figure out the message. Like my message is off. It's like I'm not attracting the right people. I'm attracting lazy people. Mm-hmm. I'm attracting people that are this and that." He's like, "You know what? You know why you're attracting those things?" I was like, "Why?" "Because you are those things." I said, "Wait, wow. What?" It kind of hurt my feelings. I was like, "Hey, man, I ain't no lazy. You know what I'm saying?"
Right.
He's like, "You attract what you are." And when I heard that, I was just like, huh. And I remember Dre was like, listen, if you really want to do this business, you're going to have to perfect your message. And you're going to have to start, making these decisions that people can't give you excuses for because you made them, right? You made the decisions that people are trying to make excuses for.
Right.
And you should also speak to military, because think about it. You are military. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Why are you trying to do? Dude, the lane that you need to go in is right in front of you.
Yes.
and sometimes we're looking for this perfect path. We're looking for this perfect opportunity. And one of my other coaches, Marquell, he's like, dude, you know what you need to understand? Success is supposed to be messy. Think about it. In the military, we have to go into what? The trenches.
Right.
You have to get down, you have to get dirty. Your uniform going to be dirty. And some people, they don't want to get it out the mud.
Right.
They don't want to get it out the trenches. They expect success to be this beautiful, majestic path with no failures, no roadblocks, no wrong way signs. And it's just like, dude, it's supposed to be messy. That's what makes the journey sound much more beautiful.
Yes.
And so, going into a little bit about your first, 3 to 5 years with your denim company, talk about how it was messy, how you had to get it out the mud, and how you were able to do this while still being active, active in the Army National Guard. How were you able to build this business while juggling your military career, while probably at this time, I would assume that you were probably married? How were you able to juggle all those things and manage them in a way in which it didn't burn you out, but it helped you build balance?
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. It was challenging, man. It was making sure stuff was dedicated towards every little thing and making a to-do list for everything. Like, I still have about 6 notebooks that I use where it's just dedicated to that specific area of my life: business, family, Army, or personal, whatever. Right. And for the denim brand, I just went over sample, right? Like, I wasn't going to fly back to LA every single time. It was not an option to get anything made in China. It was not an option to get anything made overseas. That was not an option, because that was not part of the brand story, right? That was not part of the message. And so we went through five samples, 5 different samples of 3 different fits to start. And hold on one second. My son just woke up from his nap. Come here, buddy. You can get on this interview too. So 5 samples, because it wasn't the right time to, like, I'm not going to release something that's not right. Again, it goes back to like what I said earlier, quality. Like, you have to make sure that you're putting out quality. Come here, buddy. And it was rough. So I took how many years? I took 2 years, 5 samples before we released it. We released the brand. Come here, buddy. We released the brand in 2015, March 28, 2015. Hey, buddy. Hey, you gonna say hi to Adam? Say hi to Adam, because we're talking about the brand right now. All right, Champ, can you go get him a snack? And so it was 2 years, 5 samples. And when we released, it still wasn't perfected, right? And it was like, all right, how are we going to do this? And yes, I was married at the time. I got married in 2014. And like you said it earlier, like you have to believe in yourself and in your abilities before anyone else will, right? And so, one of my wife's concerns then was, well, what are you doing with like this money? Like, you're going to be putting it into your business, or you're going to be putting it like it's going to go into the household, right? Like, no one, like, and it's I don't fault anybody for that. I don't fault my wife for that. I don't fault like my parents or whoever else was like not 100% on it like I was. But hey buddy, it's okay, buddy. But it's my job to believe in it even when no one else does, to believe in it through all the challenges, all like the samples, all the just the detours, right? That are happening. It's supposed to be like that. Here you go, buddy. All right. Hold on 1 second.
No worries.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
It's all good.
It's a balance thing, right? My wife's not here right now, so this is me and the kids, and he's supposed to be napping, but he's up now, right? So,
right.
So yeah, it's a balance thing, man, and it's about speaking those things into existence. Like this is gonna work. Like there's no other option for it not to work. We're gonna get through this, and then we're gonna push it, and then in that process of us pushing whatever product or whatever service out there, our journey throughout it is going to be part of our story that we relay to the customer. And it was like, okay, we're going to release it, and it was crickets. First year, like I didn't sell a lot the first year. I was like, I sold nothing. It was like a friend or family that bought the first 2 pair of denim, and it's like, all right, like you got a cool product, but how are people going to get to know you, right? And I had to go through, all right, well, let's do some pop-up shops. Let's do some further marketing, right? Like the job's not done. Like the cool part and the fun part is creating something. Like that's easy. The job starts when you have to push it out there to other people and get them to believe in your story and in your brand. And it probably took 2 years before anything was as consistent as it is now, from a seasonal basis to like now an ongoing basis. So now since 2017, which is 2 years after the launch, now we're making 100% profit or 100% increase in revenue from the year prior.
Wow. All because of those first initial couple of challenges. You say it was it 5 samples, 2 years?
5 samples. Yep, 5 samples. Yep.
Wow. And
then continuing to do that, like you have to continue to perfect your brand, your product, and it's just like anything else, right? Just like food or just like any other product or service, right? You want to stay ahead of one, the competition, and you want to stay ahead of the consumer. So you want to give them what they want before they even know they want it.
Man, that's incredible. That's incredible.
That's hard.
Yeah. And again, this goes back to, that first, most people don't realize the first 18 to 24 months of being in business is the hardest.
Right, man.
When you're trying, it's trial and error. Business isn't working. Clients are saying no. Family is saying no.
Right.
Friends are saying no.
Right.
And something I recently read, I'll share, is that a client will become a friend faster than a friend becomes a client.
100%. Yep. I saw that recently too. 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And so even though, our family and our friends are saying no, it's not just because they don't genuinely want to support us. It's mainly because they don't believe in it yet.
Right.
And that goes back to, like you said earlier, your story is so important, because once you start building a brand, a business, a company, a corporation that incorporates a story that people believe in, then the yeses become inevitable.
Right. Right.
But in order to get to those yeses that are inevitable, you have to go through those no's.
Right.
Nah, no thanks. I'd rather not. Appreciate it. Maybe some other time.
Right.
And that's the difficulty in building a business, when you're getting told all those no's, no thank you, maybe some other time. I'll give it some thought, and then you never hear from those people ever again.
Right.
And that's the difficult part and the discouraging part, because when you're building a business, when you see on Instagram and what you see on Facebook and what you see on TikTok, we don't see the behind the scenes.
No.
Where people are up. Like, I'm pretty sure you can relate to this. You can't even sleep at night.
Right.
1, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're working on your business, your brand. Saturdays and Sunday, when you're supposed to kind of take off and relax, you can't relax. So he's like, dude, my business this is stressful.
Dude. Yo, you know what? So my first clothing line, the t-shirts, right?
Yeah.
I did a fashion show in Harrisburg, PA, and the fashion show was ridiculous. We were working on it for like 6 months. I had all local models doing it, right? It was crazy. I had VIP in the front. They got hors d'oeuvres, they got champagne, right? Like we sold out everything, right?
Wow.
I didn't sleep that night because I made just enough money plus $70 to pay for everything. Just $70. So it was like a $4,000, $5,000 event with everything, with the venue, with the clothes, with paying everybody. I made $70, man. I couldn't even sleep that night. But it was, but like you said, like you see this thing on social media. I didn't even have any social media at that point, at that time, right? It looks great, right? But me, I'm like, dude, like, all right, so how am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? How am I going to build on this momentum? Right. It's still, like you said, not be discouraged.
Yeah.
Right. So even when you are discouraged, I can't be discouraged. Like, this ain't it. But what I want to have is this. And you got to keep saying that.
One of my favorite quotes that kind of talks about that is there's levels to entrepreneurship. You got to go from interested to committed to fully committed. Some of us, we just kind of interested, we want to do it. We want to bring a second source of income in.
Right.
But that second source of income that we get in, it's like, we don't need that because, in the military, like, I got first and 15th. I'm good.
Right.
But then you start realizing, like, man, there's a life after this.
Right.
And so, sometimes, it's difficult to maneuver those challenges because everyone isn't proud of you. They're just surprised that you keep making things happen. They like, man, that Charles, that Brandon, man, he's doing consistent sales every month. Maybe I might need to buy.
Right.
They're surprised.
Right.
They're surprised. They're like, man, this dude keep making something happen. Every time it looks like things are going dim, I was just listening to something that was so profound. Ma, I can't wait to share this. To anybody listening and watching it, this is so important. There was a guy by the name of Myron Golden, said, he's my coach's coach. He said, there's no such thing as work that doesn't work. He said, it's either working for you or it's working on you.
Wow. Wow, dude.
I was like, good God. Because half of the time we get discouraged that it's not working for us.
Right.
But those adversities, those challenges, those difficulties, those no's, those I'm not interested, those no thank yous, that's working on us.
Yo.
I think the scripture says, he that began a good work in you shall finish it. So even though it's not working for us, it's perhaps working on us, and it's definitely working in us.
Man.
And we both getting some value from this. This is incredible.
Crazy.
So as we're kind of, wrapping this interview up, I want you to kind of tell people how the business looks today. What are some of the things that are working very, very well for you, as well as that balance that you have with your military career? What does today, Charles Miller brand denim look like today, and how you are able to maintain that balance?
It goes back to another thing that my father told me. And this was when I wasn't making any sales back in 2015, 2016. He said that, if don't kill yourself, like trying to make this a full-time thing when you have a full-time thing for the Army, right? You can't do both full-time. And so that did two things for me. So one, it made me turn the model of the business into a seasonal model, because that was the best way I could balance everything. So I'd work on it quarterly. I'd release things off seasonally at either pop-up shops or online. So that was one key. And he also told me that, hey, if these customers are loyal to you, they're going to wait on you. So don't kill yourself on going into more debt. Don't kill yourself trying to make it a full-time thing. Your loyal customers are going to wait on you. So those were two. buddy, you got to hold on, buddy. Those customers are going to wait on you, and it was just it built the model for what we use today. And today, now it's the same exact thing. Like loyal customers will say, "Hey, I'm waiting for you to drop this thing right here and there. Like I'm not going anywhere else." Right. Or they'll buy every single thing we drop, every single thing we release. And it's so it takes the pressure off of me. Even though I see other brands, other businesses, other retail companies releasing stuff on a regular basis every single week, right? Like sometimes it is discouraging, but I got to remember, like, hey, this is who we are as a brand. This is not anybody else, and I can't compare. Like, don't do that, because that's dangerous territory. You start comparing your journey to someone else's, because your step 15 into a breakthrough might be someone else's step 365. So you don't see those other steps, right? And so that focus on that. And so those things have helped me to balance everything I'm doing right now today, right? And today we still operate the same consistency. We have seasonal releases still working. It's taken years to work to a point where now we have a whole basement full of products. Now we can strategically release things that we want to release for the next year and a half. Like that took years to build, money to build, like consistency to build. And so doing those things, family's a priority, right? So God first, family always, military, then entrepreneurship, right? Because that's just the way that this has to go. Because all this entrepreneurship stuff, this is going to be here, right? The military is coming to the end for me, right? And so we're going to go to the next chapter, and that's when I can invest all of my time into all of my extra time aside from family into the businesses. And so it's really a balance that individuals have to create, and it changes on a weekly basis. You know, there's no telling what, for us at least, what requirements are going to come for the military, or like restrictions that COVID's going to have on, you know, a school shutting down or something like that, or whatever the case may be right now, right? Someone gets sick, and you have to be able to develop your 7-day, your weekly battle rhythm, your weekly cadence in order to be successful. Otherwise, you're going to be going at a rhythm that's not your rhythm, and you're going to slip, you're going to fall more so than you have to, you know. And so that's the advice that I would give now, because now everything's running. It's at a pace that's comfortable for me, and that's the best thing.
That's incredible, brother. I'm honored, really. I really am honored to be able to hear this story about how it came into fruition, how you were able to build what we see today with the Charles Miller brand denim. I mean, it's incredible, and I'm really honored to be able to interview you, because, you know, being not only the first veteran-owned, Black-owned denim company in the world, that's profound.
Oh man,
that is profound. And you know, as we wrap up, I want to kind of shift gears and ask you, you know, if we were to have this conversation 5 years from now, so, you know, June 25th, 2027, 5 years from now, okay, where do you see Charles Miller brand denim going? And what would you know, tell somebody that's getting started right now? Maybe not the same type of denim company. Maybe they're starting their own business. Maybe they are veterans. Maybe they are active duty. Two things. Where do you see your brand going 5 years from now? And what would you tell somebody starting today as to why they should build a business?
All right. So the first thing is, so Charles Miller brand denim will be geographically segmented in the products that it has in wholesale relationships. That's one. And two, we're still going to be operating off of the same balance that we do now in-house. It's going to grow. We're going to have our own cotton field. We're going to have our own manufacturing plant. And so we're going to have the whole full circle operation from, it's essentially plant to plate, type thing, like farm to table type thing, but for denim, right? So we're growing our own cotton organically, putting it into our own manufacturing. We're going to be selling our own product, and we're also going to be private labeling our own fabric. Again, it'll be the first Black-owned fabric mill in the world, veteran and Black-owned fabric mill. So that's one thing. So two is any advice for anyone growing a business in the future is don't grow your business based off a shell or a template from some other business. Like, you have to develop your own shell, your own template. There's no blueprint to branding, marketing, and growing a business model. There's no blueprint for that. You have to develop your blueprint. And otherwise, you're going to, one, you're not going to be the person, you're not going to be the brand, you're not going to be the product or service. And two, you'll get distracted, and you'll switch your mind like you switch your outfits, and then you'll try to go to something else because your heart's not in it. And you just have to have that foundation. And if you don't, then you need to try something else, right? And it's the same thing with civilian or even military employment, right? Like if your heart's not in it, if you're not in, it goes back to talent management. If you're not in what you love to do, then you're not going to be in it for the long haul. So your business is going to fail. It's just like pivoting. Like, so many businesses did not know how to pivot, and we're not on a foundation where they could pivot when COVID hit. A lot of businesses failed. A lot of businesses were birthed. You know what I'm saying? And so my second recommendation is develop whatever hybrid model that's going to be for you when you're starting your business.
That's some sound advice, because I know a lot of people, they hop, skip, and jump to the next thing. We call that in our entrepreneurship space, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, it's like,
right.
Airbnb, credit repair, you doing real estate investing, you doing coaching, you selling sneakers. Like, what do you want to be known for?
Right.
You know,
right.
and this is something that, I like, sharing with people, is the power of one business, one brand, one story, one message, one offer, and then, you build and develop a company and corporation from that. Because, a lot of people say, you need to have multiple streams of income. And one of the things I heard that was so profound, multiple streams of income is a tool of the wealthy, not a tool to get wealthy.
Right. Dude. Yeah.
Huge difference there. Huge disparity there.
Yeah, man.
Oh, you got to have 5, 6, 7 streams of income. You can't focus. Focus stands for follow one course until successful.
Wow. I love that.
Man, you can go ahead and put that in your notes.
I am going to put that in my notes, man. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
Because, and you said it. Because you said focus on one, and then essentially you scale, right? And so, like, all the stuff I just talked about building the denim brand, like, it's a seasonal. I'm doing things seasonal because it's based on my abilities to be able to function, right, to operate the business, right. All those lessons learned from the past 7 years, I helped my daughter incorporate into her business, Princess Treats, right, where she operates once a month, every month, builds the demand, like secures the demand, engages with it, and she sells out every single month now. She sells out her products every single month. Because of the lessons it took me 7 years to learn. Now I can help her put into her blueprint of her brand. Freak crazy, man.
That's so profound, though, because now you're like, this is why it's so invaluable to have a coach, so invaluable to have a mentor. I literally don't know why people who want to get to a certain specific place don't, understand the power of shortening the learning curve.
Right.
Like, why do you want to, this is something that I'm going to share with you as well, that, we're going to be able to close on and kind of talk about a little bit before we wrap up. One of the things that I learned about people who have a lot of money and have a lot of time is they understand that time is infinitely more valuable than money.
Yes.
once you spend money, you know that it's coming back one way or another. You coming back, but once you spend time, it's gone.
Right.
And one of the things that I understood about wealthy people is wealthy people spend money to save time, while unsuccessful people spend, time to save money.
That's crazy. That's so
whole
true.
Different mindset.
Yo, I know.
Like, I'm not like, I heard a gentleman say, he's like, I don't spend any time doing things that do not give me the opportunity to be more present with my family or build my business.
Right.
I'm not washing clothes. I'm not, going to the cleaners. I'm not doing grocery shopping. I will pay somebody to do that.
Yes.
Just so I can spend more time doing the things that I'm genuinely passionate about, as opposed to doing it. I mean, of course, when you first start out, you kind of have to do it yourself, right?
Right.
Like you understand, we understand that. But once you get to a point where your business is providing enough income and revenue, it's time to diversify, because what we all want as business owners and entrepreneurs, leverage.
Yes.
Leverage is like, I can be able to do what I want, whenever I want, however long I want, with no one to answer to. And if you spend money to save time, and you know that time is infinitely more valuable than money, you will be light years ahead of the people who are spending time to save money.
Yeah. That's great. I wrote that down in my notes too, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wrote that down already. That's crazy. It's so true.
And these are things that I learned from my coaches and mentors, as I'm sure as you have. You've imparted wisdom in me, and I'm sure I've done the same thing for you. So, brother, as we close up, I want to give you the opportunity to share one last thought for service members, whether they're active duty, whether they're reserved, whether they're retired, to be inspired by your brand, your story. If you could just tell somebody listening to this, somebody watching this, maybe somebody replaying this, what last piece of insightful wisdom would you give to encourage them to build a brand and build a story that people would talk about for generations to come?
That's simple, man. I take the words from a mentor of mine. Do things now that your future self thanks you for. That's it. Just, so like, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to suck now to grind it out. But in 5-10 years now, like, man, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I started the business while I was in the military, before I retired. I'm glad I started these investments or whatever it is. Like you said, like, spend money to save time so I can spend more time with my family once I retire. Or I'm glad I invested that money into, the cleaning companies so I can spend more time with my family and I have to clean on the weekends. Just so do stuff now that your future self thanks you for.
I think the great Jim Rohn said, if you do, not Jim Rohn, Les Brown. The great Les Brown said, if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. But if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. From the great Les Brown. We couldn't close it out any better than that. Yeah. Charles, brother, I want to give you an opportunity to tell people where they can follow you, get some of your your denim, and how they can connect with you outside of this interview. Where can people follow you and find you at?
So you can follow my personal brand. It's at Charles Miller _. That's my personal IG. And you'll see all of my businesses there. The denim brand is at CMB Denim, also cmbdenim.com. And just hit me up, DM me, shoot me an email from Instagram, and I'm always willing to help, to share some advice on denim fitting, or just to get you motivated.
Awesome. We couldn't ask for a better interview. Charles, I just want to thank you so much for your just invaluable insight in this interview, and really just kind of helped me really see the power of crafting a insightful and, memorable story that will be able to be talked about for generations to come. So I want to, give you your flowers, bro, for being able to spend some incredible time with me doing this interview. And I really appreciate getting the opportunity to bring, your brand, Charles Miller, brand denim, more light as is, being the most probably profound company, veteran owned, black owned, I mean, it's just incredible. You don't see it. You don't see it very often. So I had to say that, brother. Again, I really do appreciate you for really being able to share your story with me, man. Honored, brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity. I love it. I love it. I love the notes you dropped, the gems you dropped. This conversation has been inspirational to me. So thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, man.
Absolutely. So if you made it to the end of this interview, I just want to, take time to say thank you for allowing us to impart some invaluable wisdom and insight and knowledge for you. And I know for a fact you got tremendous value from Charles and I. So if you can do us a big favor, leave a like on this video, comment down below a nugget that you took away or maybe something that inspired you. And then maybe send this to a friend or family member that you know needs to hear this. Maybe they need to be inspired. Maybe they need to be encouraged in their season so that they can get from where they are to where they desire to be and make a total 180 in the process. Again, my name is Adam C. Scott, founder of A Total 180, helping you go from where you are to where you desire to be in business and helping you start and develop your online business in 90 days or less. Charles, again, it was an honor, brother. We can't wait to do this again sometime in the nearby future. And we love you and we will appreciate you and we will catch you in the next A Total 180 interview. Be blessed.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. All right, y'all.
Be blessed.
Hey, my friend, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed that interview as much as I did hosting it. And I know you can't wait till the next one comes out. But in the meantime, while you're waiting for the next interview to come out, if you're, listening to this and you're thinking to yourself, man, I really want to implement the stuff that he talked about, and I'm really ready to take my online business to the next level, there's a free training I did where I covered 3 intangible steps to help you start and develop your online business in 90 days or less. Go to atotal180.com/military to get that training there for free. And if you're ready to implement that training, once you've watched it and you're like, Adam, I'm stuck. I really want to go to the next level. I really want to make a total 180, but I'm just not in the right mind frame. And I really need somebody to hold me accountable to my goals, my dreams, and my aspirations. And you want to hop on a call with me or my team, go to atotal180.com/apply and schedule your Clarity Conversation phone call. And we'll discuss how we can help you implement the framework and my free training. Again, that's atotal180.com/apply so we can help you implement the framework that you'll get in a free training by hopping on a 15-minute conversation with me or my team. Again, I look forward to sharing with you the next interview to come, and I know for a fact you're going to get incredible value from it. I will catch you in the next one.